right? So now we're on day 3 of ministry. This is a Monday. And this day we were really devoting to schools, actually. We were able to get into a couple of schools and do the skits and the dances for them. And while we weren't able to really reach out, do it much ministry time, it was God was really, really gracious and providing us actually a time to interact with the kids. So we got there. I think on time, but for some reason, like communication was kind of didn't go through, and we couldn't get into the school at the time we wanted to and present to the sheer number of kids that we wanted to, just because we wanted to go on like during a break time, and then so all the kids could come out and watch us and stuff like that. So instead, they allowed us to actually present to the kids that were late to school, and apparently if you're late to school at this school, apparently um, they make you wait for like a couple of hours before you could go to class. And so they let us in, and they were like, all right, let's go into this classroom and you can present to the kids that were late. And we're just like, okay, sure, we'll do it. So we did the dances for them. We did the skit for them, and it was really amazing to see the reactions. These are kids that are late. I can imagine that they either something happened in the house that morning, or either they're a little bit rebellious and ran off to get a snack before school, or they just decided that they were like, I don't care enough about school, so I'm gonna be late. Like there's just different types of kids that were there, and it was really amazing just to. Well, we got more translators at this point, FYI. My ministry group was paired up with Rob, who actually just came in from the jungle to work in Lima. Like he felt like God was calling him to work in Lima for however long God wants him to. Like he dropped everything that he did in the jungle for 10 years, and he came to Lima around this, at the same time we did. So it was really cool to work with him. But he was our translator for the rest of the trip, really. And so basically we were we went up to a group of guys, to a group of kids that were just kind of sitting there. We weren't sure exactly where they were at. It seemed like as if they all had received Christ when Rule went up after the skit to do the altar call and stuff like that. But we really wanted to pour into them and really ask them about um, kind of share it to them again through the tract, and then also ask them about what they were doing, and like we got to ask them what they wanted to be when they grew up, because this was actually really interesting school in that they actually had um, they began to actually train kids, just like a high school, like began to train kids for vocations. Like they had like a bakery basically, where like kids could bake, or they had like computers where kids could practice like graphic design um, and like architecture and stuff like that, and like make blueprints and stuff like that. Um, so that was really cool, just because it seemed like as if they kind of knew what they wanted to get themselves into, and we really got to share, like each of us in our ministry group, we were able to share about how um, God really asks us to follow Him, and how to glorify Him through the work that we do, either as a student or as um, just the things we pursue, whether it was sports um, or like subject that we wanted to go into, like what we were majoring in or stuff like that. Um, I think my personal goal really was just to pour out into these kids and begin to actually disciple them and show them what is life like with Christ, what is life like with our focus on Christ, not on ourselves, or not on our wants and needs and stuff like that. So that was really neat. I think I was I was able to like share my testimony and share um, about how God's really just been growing me, and really pour that into these boys. Um, yeah, I think it was really neat just to be able to connect with them in that way. So what we also did was we did outreach on the streets again. We were planning. We also were passing out tickets for free market. We basically asked our church to donate a bunch of clothes, and we would do a free market for them at the church, for the community at the church. So we were um, yeah, just as we were kind of going out to the streets, and we did our basic skit, dance skit, altar call format. We were also really hoping just to pass out these tickets and ask these people of the community to come to the church that night, and we would be able to give them free clothes. Yeah, it was really amazing actually to meet people. We went out to the market, I think, for a little bit, We didn't do the skit or the drama there, but it was really neat just to be able to connect with people where they were. They were like busy during their everyday lives. They were just, and we just like walked up to them and asked them, like, how are you? How are you doing? That's the same question. How are you? Like, do you have any prayer requests? Or do you have any needs? Asking about their family and things like that, and really just caring for them. I think, even though we only got like a couple minutes with each person, but I think it was really special just to be able to connect with them through in that way. We got to meet Maria, who was a cleaner. She actually has a club foot. It was really heartbreaking to see. She was just on the streets cleaning and doing her best to get by, even with her, yeah, even with her deformity, um, and just to see her so persistent was really encouraging. I think we got to also pray for her and her sister, that she's supporting. We also got to meet Teresa, who was pregnant. And it was really neat just to see the smile on her face. She seemed really joyful, and she just had a lot of hope in her family. She was, like I said, like she was pregnant at the time, and we were actually able to see her that night too. We were able to see her at the free market, and yeah, it was just really neat just to know that we were able to touch her and pray for her, um, and hopefully like God will continue to work in her family as well. Um, there was other people. It was interesting that we also met other people at that market that said they were Christian, and they actually rejected prayer. We just asked them, like, yes, we know you're Christian. Maybe you don't need any clothes. We don't need to give you a ticket, but we would like to pray for you. We truly do believe that God cares for you. But there was a couple people that actually just straight up just rejected our offer. And while I know that they're busy, I know everyone is very busy, but it was almost surprising that they decided not to get prayer. And that was really sad to see, just because I feel like as Christians um, we understand that everyone can use some prayer, even ourselves, even if we're doing well. Like we always can use prayer, and so that was kind of sad. But we were glad nonetheless that we got to reach out to the people that God wanted us to reach out to, and that we were able to touch the lives and to really offer a gift of free clothing and also of prayer to them. Um, yeah, we got to go back to the school again later that day. We got to actually be there during their break time. So there was a lot of people that got to go, a lot of students that got to come out and watch us, and there was a lot of girls that came out to watch us actually. So what was interesting was, so we did our dances and then we did our skit. During the skit specifically, I had actually been having trouble from the beginning of missions, doing a part of the skit as Material Girl. Um, I'm actually supposed to slap Jesus, right? Like the hatred that sin has, and really showcase that hatred, and also like the mocking of Jesus, that Jesus had to endure. And so usually I'm just like, put my hand here on like one side of whoever's playing whoever's playing Jesus is Richard, which is why I said that. So usually put my hand on like one side of Richard's face and just like clap, and like Richard's gonna react or whatever. Except I haven't having trouble with that the whole time. So I'd like really weak claps, or like I would just not even clap altogether, and Richard would react and stuff like that. But I think we really wanted it to seem real. So so this time I actually straight up just like backhanded Richard across the cheek, across the face, and that was just kind of a funny moment, just because like afterwards he came up to me and was like, you maybe shouldn't slap me, even though I've been asking for it um, because like he was getting pretty beat up. We were doing it right out we've been doing the skits right out on the streets of Peru, so the ground is not very forgiving, and he was getting kind of roughed up. So I kind of backed off a little bit after that. But it was funny that during the skit, I was praying to God. I was just like, I really want to get the slap right. I really want to show people, show the audience just how much sin hates Jesus, and I don't know. I felt I felt the need just to go ahead and just backhand, and of course I didn't do that again. But I thought that was just interesting that I would end up doing that at some point during the trip. But also another thing that was really surprising, did not see it coming at all, was when we were getting ready for this skit. We were already prepared, and we were like sitting down and like getting ready to go for this skit. The music had already started playing, and I don't really have anything to do for a little while, since I only come in as material girl when I am needed, but I am still like I need to sit still, um, because like the seeker comes in and like opens my door or whatever, um, and so as I'm sitting there, I see my pastor waving at me, and he's just like can't, like notice me, like I have something to tell you. And I'm just like, okay, like what's going on? And he's just like, do you want to like go into the altar call? And I'm just like, okay. Like of course I had to do it very discreetly because I didn't want to distract from the skit that was going on around me. Um, and it was just really interesting that um, God gave me such little preparation time. Like almost immediately after the skit, I would have to go up and give maybe a little bit of a testimony, say how I connect with the skit, really try to connect with the audience and ask them to join me in worshiping and praising God. Um, and really receiving Jesus into each of our lives. So I was actually really glad I had such short preparation time. I only had like maybe the 10 minutes of the skit to really pray and ask God to like pour words into my mouth because I had no idea what to say. I was not prepared. I did not expect myself to be speaking, but yeah, it was really amazing that God came through. That God really placed words in my mouth to speak, um, to really connect with the audience that was mostly girls, and share about my want for my relationship, my want for to be successful in life, and really ask them just to join me in putting those things aside, not seek after that, but seek after God's heart and seek after the relationship that He wants with us. And so that was really a special moment for me, just because I was truly relying on God at that point. I could not say that I prepared at all. I could not say that um, I even had the boldness to go up and do so, but to see that God had you know given me the opportunity and for me to take it, um, I think really spurred me on for the rest of the trip to continue to speak boldly and to continue to just seek after God for provision of like words of provision of just boldness. So that was really neat. So I'll close on that, and we will go on to the next day.